surprise. Guess I should have known. No, now my mind is blown. No, surprise. Guess I should have known. No, no. Now my mind is blown. No, surprise. Guess I should have known.
Hello, welcome. That was my new little intro, kind of give you all a taste of the kind of environment I'm trying to espouse on Checkmate Humanity. Welcome to the stream. Friday. It is Friday. And I'm sitting here with my dog who always immediately wants attention after I go live. I'm sure a lot of you can relate. Welcome. Please hit the thumbs up. Hello, the Canadian cat lady. Hello, everybody coming in. Did I already say it? Hit the thumbs up. Subscribe. Consider joining, becoming a member. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Rez. Appreciate that. It is Friday, and therefore it is time for a Friday in vulture culture. Not right now. He's not in a good position for me to do it. So, I'll post a picture of him soon. How about that? I'll do that. I love. Yeah, it's so funny, Barb. Like we'll play all day, go for walks and everything, and then I start talking to the camera, and he's like, "Oh, hey, we're playing. What about me?" It's okay. It's cute. It's just a little bit distracting. So I hope this live stream finds you well. It's been, as usual. I think it's always funny when people say, "Oh, the streets are on fire." They're always on fire. They're always on fire somewhere, aren't they? But I'm going to start out with a little public service announcement right now before I get into the topics of conversation that I want to delve into. I'm going to touch on Bullhorn Betty. I'm going to touch on Adventures with Purpose, and I'm going to touch on this, like little brewing of drama that's been going on in the kind of the Watts Island community for the past week or so. More courtroom drama being played out on YouTube, which is a big, for me, like that's my personal opinion on it. But anyway, but here's my public service announcement. They are swirling the sewer. I like that comment, Rez. I've said that to a few people. Like it's like a very slow, like the slowest and most scuzzy swirling drain ever. Like the internet moves really fast, but it's I don't know. It's a really bad it's a really bad vision to get when you really start thinking about all the way people group together in these systems of attack, and it's just so weird. And that's kind of what this live is about, is this whole DARVO system of attack. Hey, Cheryl. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. So, but let me start with my public service announcement, okay? Despite the fact that the internet looks like it could replace the role of your mommy, your caretaker, your nurturer, the thing that builds you up, the thing that makes you feel like you're wanted when you're not wanted, the thing that might show you love when you don't feel love. Despite the internet appearing to you like it is that, like it can be your mommy, the internet is not your mommy. Not only is it not your mommy, it is absolutely, it is the opposite of what we would consider to be a mommy, right? When we think of a mommy, we think of someone who would protect us and nurture us and caretake for us and make sure that until we can live on our own, we're safe and secure, and we're taught how to live on our own, self-sustained. The internet isn't that. But I do see a lot of people treating the internet like their mommy. And the way it comes out most wretchedly, in my opinion, is how people will get extremely emotional about something that's said about them on the internet. And they think that the best way to handle that is to go on the internet and scream about it. Hey, Shift. So, and, like, in essence, go on and scream to a bunch of strangers on the open web, saying things that, that because they come from such a hate, a place of anger. And a lot of the times when we're in that really deep place of anger at somebody, we want to lash out at them and hurt them, right? So we're going to say things that we think are going to hurt them. And believe it or not, whatever you might have to say to intentionally hurt them could potentially hurt a lot of other people that you're talking to on the internet. And let me just ask you a question. You don't have to answer this to me. Just ask yourself this question. How many times have you ever gone on the internet and treated the internet like your mommy? We've all done it. This is how I learned this. Okay. That I learned that it's a mistake. So how many times have you gone on the internet thinking that it was going to be, helpful like your mommy, and found out that it was the exact opposite? How many times have you ever actually gone to the internet to, solve interpersonal conflict, and found that aside from getting education from a third party about things like that, how many times have you actually engaged in a conflict online where it actually worked out, where actually everything worked out, and everybody felt good in the hood afterward? I've seen people make up online, and it can be a beautiful thing, but then because those two people because those two people made up, it hurt the feelings of a bunch of other people, and then they all go off and fight in their own corners, and they create a whole other like little whack-a-moles of drama. and in there, I don't want to be I don't want to minimize or dismiss how it feels to be part of that. When you're part of it, it feels really real. It feels all encompassing. It's a very immersive and interactive experience. It's very engaging. A lot of people become addicted to it because people are already addicted to drama and chaos. So then when they're involved in it with much more people online, it's actually much more compelling, and something that draws them in and makes them feel like, I have to keep going back to it. I have to solve that problem over there. I have to solve that problem over there. And a new problem. When a problem is solved over here with this person, then 5 new problems arise over here because these people's feelings were hurt by either something you did or said. It is never ending. I have people sometimes asking me about, particular conflict. How is this going to end? How's this going to end? In terms of like how things are happening on YouTube. And I keep trying to tell them it's not going to end. The only, if you're asking for the sake of yourself, how are my terrible feelings going to end? Your terrible feelings are going to end when you manage your terrible feelings around the situation. Unfortunately, that's that is the case. It's not, the internet is not going to solve, even if the internet is the one that helped us feel terrible, it's not going to be the one to directly solve the pain, be our mommy. It could give us suggestions like a mom might, but it's really, everything is up to us, right? So just before the next time you hit live in order to launch a tirade on somebody else, I know that there's a financial incentive there, right? There is unfortunately a financial incentive, that will weigh on the side of, I think I'm going to hit live. Hey, Gwen, I think I'll go ahead and hit live because you know what? Maybe there's a little financial incentive to me going live and going, "Wah!" and getting a lot of attention. But before you do that next time, think about what are the, am I really going to get the, what I think I want out of this? And as I continue in the conversation tonight about DARVO and about the things that are unfolding in Oriani versus Barry, I want to continue asking that question is, what do you think what is the end game here? How does it, we're now at this stage where the, and I'm jumping a little bit ahead of myself, but we're at this stage where a decision has been made in the case. And now, rather than the person who got the decision in her favor being, all right, cool, I got a good decision, see ya, it's being blown up even further, more than it was before online. And it just shows me, whatever, I can't stop it, but it just shows me the motives and the incentives and the, the dubious nature of the explanation. Yeah, Cheryl, and you know what? I understand that, and I encourage you not to watch it if it hurts your mental health, because I have been in that place. I agree with you, and I found that I just had to disengage, because even if you think that watching it and keeping up with it, you might learn something. If we're starting to feel stress and some emotional way about it, we're not thinking straight or rationally about it. So whatever, and therefore we're also not really taking care of ourselves. So I've always found that being able to step back and look at the situation gives me a much more rational perspective. And it also, we tend to think that in these communities, in these communities, that it's the end all be all, that, when a person with 5,000 subscribers has 500 people in chat and they're going at it, that that is like an all-encompassing world, when there are this is a vast platform, and there are all-encompassing worlds like that all over the internet. What? I don't know enough about that, Max, to comment on it, but thanks for the comment. I'm going to have to look at that closer a little bit later. So anyway, this dovetails into a few things that have happened in the vulture culture this week. Just an update on, do you remember Adventurers with Purpose, Jared Lasik? He was charged with child R. And that's essentially what, if you could call him canceled him. I mean, Adventures with Purpose still exists. I see that they still have an active channel, and he's still very much on it. I don't know enough about the company and them whether to see how much involved he is, but he really, oh, did he, Gwen? He really fell from grace in terms of his respect and admiration in the true crime community. And it was happening even leading up to that, because he really did become part of the vulture culture, like a tragedy pimp, by kind of feigning a situation in the Kylie Rodney case, right? And going around and fueling misinformation. And that's something that is really frowned upon in the true crime community too. In my view, anybody in the legitimate true crime community, it is frowned upon to go around while a case is active and spread misinformation in such a way that you actually know, hello, lip locked no more, in such a way that you know it can bring more attention to you. And bring more views to your channel. When you have a good reason to believe that it's not real information and you're still spreading it, and you also know that it could highly benefit your channel, that's sus, man. And that's what he did. He was already doing that. Hey, Amazing 80. He had already been, being questioned a lot, and then all of a sudden, all these charges come out against him about some things that he did to a cousin in the past. And he is adamantly, Cheryl, I couldn't watch all of it. It made my stomach hurt to hear at least that's one of the things that I also do is I have to understand the human behavior and understand what's at work to be able to know. Now I have a better understanding. I have a better understanding of how this is happening. It doesn't make it better that it's happening. It just helps to know that it is a pattern that can be noticed, and that when we know about it, we can the more educated we are about it, the more we can prevent it ourselves being dragged into it or allowing it to continue perpetuating. And this is what I mean by this DARVO thing. But let me get back to Adventures with Purpose. So Adventures with Purpose guy, he had filed a motion to dismiss. He has denied the charges. He filed a motion to dismiss, and it was just announced, let me pull it up here, that that motion was denied. So this case is going to court, and he still needs to face his charges. So that's that. Now, the other thing that really I think bears bringing attention to this week that was going on is Bullhorn Betty. I'm going to pull up a video here. Bullhorn Betty was illegally streaming the West Boys case this week, jeopardizing, honestly, the order. The court order is not to have live audio being streamed outside of the courtroom, and she was doing that, streamed by other parties that were not authorized to stream it. Okay, and she was doing that, and she is doing it. She's not only doing it, but when she's called out for it, she adamantly denies doing anything wrong. She says she has an order from the DA that says she can do this, but I don't think you can get that kind of an order from the DA. Then she goes on to actually read the court order about this kind of broadcast, and clearly reads aloud that you're not supposed to be doing this. And this goes to show that people like Bullhorn Betty, people in the vulture culture, when they have that agenda, they're not going to let anything get past that agenda. They're not going to accept another point of view, even a court's point of view, right? They're not going to let a little thing called the law or the truth to get in. They're going to find a way to wiggle around it. And it's crazy, you guys. It's crazy what's going on in the name of the court. But while in the midst of talking about the West Boys case and all of this kerfuffle that's going on, she also made some really disgusting comments about kids that I need you to listen to. So you make sure I got this.
Sadie, and I'm sorry. That's just how I feel. Just like some dogs. Some dogs are too vicious that they have to be euthanized.
Let me turn this back. This is Heels in the Air. Go subscribe to Heels in the Air for very good clips.
This is Betty on euthanizing people that are vicious. She's talking about the kids that killed the two girls, I'm sure, and the West couple. I'm really beyond shocked. I cannot believe she said this.
It's the bleeding hearts wanting to save children. Some children are not worth saving, and I'm sorry. That's just how I.
Some children are not worth saving. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Some children are not worth saving. Who the hell are you? Who gives you the right, Bullhorn Betty, to say who gets to live and who gets to die? Who's worth saving and who isn't? That's like me saying, you know, all the vultures in the vulture culture, they don't deserve to live. That would be a horrible thing to say, and I would never say it because I don't have that right. I'm not God. So it goes to show what is in the mind of this person, right? What's in the mind of this person who her stated motives are not her motives. She's not there to advocate for children. She's not there to help children. She's there for content, right?
I feel just like some dogs. Some dogs are too vicious that they have to be euthanized. And we have to take into consideration because we consider dogs animals. Human beings are animals too. We're just a different species of animals. We're all mammals. We are all this, even dogs. They have hair, they breathe.
That's the way a sick mind can justify anything. You know, that's how she's saying this in the context of the West Boys case that she's covering, and the I believe in the context of the girls that killed the young woman in Mexico. Honestly, I don't think the context matters. I do believe that saying that some kids are not worth saving is objectively on its own wrong to say.
Breathe oxygen, they give life birth. We are mammals, we are animals, and some of us are too vicious to live amongst the rest of us. And we need to euthanize them like we do the vicious dogs. And that's how I feel.
Well, I think I would put her, if that's the category, vicious people, then I'm going to nominate Betty first.
So again, that's Heels in the Air. You can sub to that. And Amy Lowe says, I think the context was the 12-year-old who took part in murdering. Yeah, that's right. Right. Okay. So you guys tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. This is more of a philosophical conversation right now. Okay. Not specifically about Betty, but is it ever right to say that some kids are not worth saving? Is it ever right to say that? I don't think it is. I mean, is it unconstitutional? No, it's not unconstitutional. She could say that. It's a constitutional thing to say. Is it a right thing to say? What does it indicate about that person in their head? Okay. So, well, she said kids, but I think it applies to all humans. You know what I mean? Until it gets to a point where a court of law has determined that a death penalty needs to be imposed for some reason. It's not up to us, though. Like, human beings on our own don't get to decide who's too vicious to live and who's too vicious, you know. So anyway, I hope that makes sense. I'm not trying to be, super controversial about it at all. I just wish my dog would stop barking. He's outside barking, so it's a little bit distracting. So there's that. So now, those are the types of things that make somebody like Betty a tragedy pimp. Okay, like those are the markings of somebody who aren't really caring about their subjects. Oh man, that's going too deep. Amazing 80. I need to move on. I don't know. I'm not sure how to answer that question right off the bat. So where was I? So there are just some behaviors that when you couple them with being on the internet, don't equate to being a advocate online, don't equate to being, a good faith true crime journalist online. What they equate to is, being a really a bloodsucker on the internet, a really a tragedy pimp, a vulture culture. That's what they equate to, because the behaviors are just shown over and over and over again, flying all over the place and collecting money to go to all these places to cover these cases and say that you're a journalist, and but stand there with a bullhorn and outright accuse people of murder and harass them and get them fired from jobs. That is not journalism, and that's also not, that's attention getting tragedy pimping, in my view, especially when you're only doing that on cases where you know that there's a lot of cameras, where you know that there's going to be a lot of attention. If you're really interested in true crime cases, in missing children, in advocacy for missing children, blah, 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 you would bring attention, take the growth from the channel that you have, where you've grown your channel from, doing all this tragedy pimping, and share the wealth on all those other cases that aren't getting attention, that aren't getting attention. So anyway, now in the moving on to and dovetailing into the conversation about DARVOing, all of these people in that vulture culture arena are really good at the DARVO. Okay. And I'm going to tell you what the DARVO is in a minute here. But these people are surprisingly good at the DARVO, but some are better than others. And after what I witnessed today in, in the basically the Watts Island adjacent community, Krama sphere, I have determined that there is a master DARVO, and I will tell you who that is in a minute. But first of all, let me tell you what I'm talking about when I talk about DARVO. Let me grab the video here. All right. Sorry, I was just grabbing. All right, watch this. And this is a little tutorial on what DARVO is, and then we will talk about it. Okay.
DARVO, what happens is there's an aggressive denial followed with an attack on the credibility of the person.
So this is once a person is accused of wrongdoing, DARVO is a strategy for getting out of accountability of that wrongdoing, whether it's wait, let me just read this here. I would be the most disgusted with them, first of all, for taking life from another and dishonoring a family that didn't raise them that way. Some people truly aren't redeemable. We see that when they're regularly sent back into society on weekbound. I think I'm trying to understand a conversation that's not being had with me, so I will keep going. Sorry. So I'll let you two keep having that conversation while I continue my presentation. Thank you very much. So we're talking about DARVO is a technique that people use. Some people use when they are being accused of no problem. When they are being accused of something, and this strategy can work on a small scale with one person or on a large scale in a group dynamic. And just, like I like to say, anybody can be manipulated, but also any group can be manipulated, right? So I believe that, when we look at how people like Bullhorn Betty and Jonathan Lee Riches and Molly Golightly and also Truth and Transparency are able to amass these really loyal supporters, you can look at this kind of system as a way, and it has a lot to do with our own feelings of insecurity and self-doubt, because a lot of us start to take the blame for things that we shouldn't take the blame for. Let me just continue the video and you'll see what I'm talking about.
DARVO, what happens is there's an aggressive denial followed with an attack on the credibility of the person making the claim. It might take the form of questioning their mental abilities or their motivations, saying you're a liar or you're crazy. And then reverse victim and offender is when the person who's being held accountable assumes the victim role and says, I'm the victim here. And more recently, we've been researching this systematically in the laboratory, and we have found that, unfortunately, DARVO seems to work. And you could say it's like a perpetrator strategy. And the way
this was the part that was really new and interesting to me, is that the thing that was new to me in this is that it does work, and we're actually seeing it working. And when we say what we mean by work is that it does tend to fall into the perpetrator's favor sometimes. And we've seen this play out time and time again in popular culture, in the true crime community, and I believe in the case of Truth and Transparency versus all of the people that are victimizing her all at once, okay, in her mind. So let me just but what's most interesting to me is why it works. Why? And the fact that if we know about this, we don't fall, it's a lot less easier for us to fall for it. So let me keep going.
ways we've so far found it works is it's associated with victim self-blame. So if people get DARVO'd, they're more likely to blame themselves. And it's also associated with third-party judgments. So third parties who are exposed to DARVO responses versus non-DARVO responses are more likely to doubt the victim and assume the perpetrator must have some basis for making the claims. The good news is preliminary research in our lab also suggests that education about DARVO helps mitigate a bit. That people who learn about DARVO are less likely to stop believing the victim
So why do abusers?
So isn't that interesting? So it is because of our own self tendency to blame ourselves, and also the third party onlooker also has a tendency in these situations to blame themselves. So they also might have the tendency to look at the person who's being blamed as having started this. Like when a person is getting DARVO'd, they are being turned on by a perpetrator. They're being, you know, they are the one that's somebody's coming and saying, the person who's being DARVO'd is the whistleblower. Okay. The whistleblower comes out and says, this person has been harassing me. And then the person who DARVOs comes out and says, you're crazy, and does an entire, years long campaign, somewhere, just to discredit that person after, one claim of harassment or, outcry of harassment. So, the third party onlookers start to believe the perpetrator, because they also in themselves have this sense of self-blame as well. In victim situations, we tend to feel guilty and like it's our fault when somebody is a terrible person to us. When somebody's harassing us, sometimes we feel maybe we deserve it in some way, or maybe we did something to cause it. And the master DARVO is able to convince us and many other people that it is our fault. And so it becomes really hard for the public and the third party onlooker to tell the difference between the victim and the perpetrator, right? Including a judge, including a magistrate. Hi, Taylor.
Use DARVO? What purpose does this serve? Well, it's a way of evading responsibility and diverting the attention away from the facts and the accusations and their guilt, while creating uncertainty in both the victim and the bystanders. Most importantly, the victim starts to self-doubt and then self-blame. And what they found in this article, that again you can find below in the video description, what they found in these studies was that the stronger the DARVO reaction, the greater the self-blame of the victim.
Now, another thing that DARVO relies on is the victim's fear of other people's opinions. And this can be a very painful thing to deal with. I often think that's why narcissistic people often threaten their victims. They're going to tell other people about them. The things they threaten to tell are often false allegations, but they threaten to contact their victims' friends, family, workplaces. They threaten to put things out there on social media. They're relying on the victim's fear of a loss of status, not being believed, being rejected, and the fear of being isolated even further.
Well, there we go. So I hope that that explains that to you. So now, putting that into the context, let's, you saw what he was saying before, is that it's a very emotional environment, this DARVO situation, right? It's a very emotional environment, and a lot of emotional language and manipulation is used. And one of the things that are done is threats of revealing information or spreading false allegations, or and things like that. And that's a coercive control technique. If you say this, I'm going to say this. If you say this, I'm going to say that. So all of that, all of the things that you've seen described there, we have seen being played out month after month, week after week, day after day, in the case of Lana Oriani versus all the people she's accusing. But here's the most, here's why she's the master DARVO. Okay. She is able to, and this is one of those times I'm actually giving her credit for something, but it's one of those things that, I wouldn't want credit for. I hope I never am credibly given credit for being a good DARVO, because it's not a good thing. Okay. It's a devious thing. It's a manipulative thing. So the master DARVO then gets way ahead of the attacks, gets ahead of the ability to, just take the accusation one by one and say, that's not true, that's not true, that's not true. Rather than that, they escalate it and they escalate it and they escalate it so that their voice is heard more, that they have more authority in the situation. And one way to do that is with the courts. And in the situation of Oriani versus all of the people on YouTube, right? Steve, hold on. In the case of Oriani versus all the people that she's suing or trying to protect herself against, she has done everything in the DARVO, right? She has also done every single thing she has accused all those other people of to other people. And in the current situation that's being played out on various channels, and if you want to see it yourself, if you want to see the actual court proceedings yourself and see what I mean by this master DARVOing happening, you can go to Aunt Lala's channel, and you can also go to Truth and Transparency's channel, because they've both been dueling. They've been doing dueling. Yeah, I saw that you posted about that, Alexandra. I'm glad she got. I'm glad she got the restraining order if she really feels unsafe. And welcome to those who have been coming in. So they've been doing these, dueling back and forth, playing of the court proceedings, and in their different environments, they have their communities cheering them on, in their various ways and in their various, and you can see that play out, and you can decide for yourself what you think. But from a 100,000-foot perspective, what I see is somebody who was able to, when I say somebody, I mean Oriani was able to get ahead of it by preemptively filing all kinds of lawsuits that probably one of them was going to stick. And this one stuck because it was, and this is not anything personal against Aunt Lala, but it was horribly mishandled. It was horribly mishandled, and it should be a lesson. It should be a lesson in how not to do things. That's my personal opinion about it. Okay. The Oriana also went live as soon as the findings were in, and had her girlfriend read the findings. And in those findings, so if you want to go listen to them yourself, you can. And in those findings, the judge said herself, this shouldn't have even been brought to court. It was a waste to even bring this to the court. And I'm sitting there thinking, you think, after you, magistrate, sat there and like the collective amount of time that she spent on the Oriani versus Lala case and the Oriani versus Vanessa case, and the amount of time that might be coming up being spent on all the other cases that Lana has filed in the same court. Do You think? You think? How? There has to be a better way of screening these types of this use of the court in this way. It is really, that's what's been so hard for me to watch, is that not only is the court being used and manipulated in this way, but it's also now being used as content. Now, I have a question for, anybody who uses this DARVO technique, especially, in this grand way. You could even think of, like, in my personal opinion, like Manson is DARVOing, and there's so many different cases, other cases where you could see examples of this DARVOing. Okay. Oh shoot. I was going there somewhere. I was going there, but I need to, oh, I know. I was going to say, after all of this is said and done, so now, you being Lana have an answer on a case, right? So you asked for a civil protection order. You got a civil protection order. What's changed? What has changed? Is it that you believe that this vindicates you, that this makes people see you in a different light? Do you think that bringing all of that content out onto the internet changes people's perspective of you? Do you think that it vindicates you? Or does it inspire more conversation that you can't control? We can't control what people say about us online and what people's opinion are. Okay. So, you're never, people online, are rarely ever going to feel totally vindicated. And so you have this one decision in your favor. Do you feel vindicated, or what? Or is it going to take, going through every single one of these other cases and getting, a yes, a no, a yes, a no, a yes, a no? What is the end goal here? And then it's all going to continue to be content, pimped out as content on YouTube, showing that that's really what it was all about in the first freaking place. It's look at take a step back, ask the questions of why are these things being played out on the internet? Why do 9 lawsuits need to be dropped? How will it actually change how you feel about yourself and other people in the future? Do you think it'll actually change you on the inside such that you will feel better about yourself? No. I am here to tell you that no outside condition, no court ruling, no court decision, no amount of money in the entire world is going to change how you feel inside about yourself. I am testimony to that. Personal testimony. So going out and manipulating an entire group system into believing that you are the victim may work for a certain segment of people, but it's not going to work for the people who know what it looks like and how to avoid it. Right? And that's some of what the second commentator, Dr. McGee, was talking about. It's really about, not engaging and not giving them much. Hold on a sec. Sorry, I needed to take a drink there. So, I I'm going to continue to kind of research this whole idea of DARVO, but I am here to proclaim, you know, very with a lot of confidence that in the true crime and in the vulture culture realm, we have a master DARVO. Who else could go from being Shazam to then crying about being blocked on the internet and gain sympathy and support, all on the under the realm of the internet? All of this is documented, all of the behavior is documented, but still she can go into a courtroom and are you talking about, do you mean my tattoo on my arm, Andy Candy, or are you teasing about what's on the screen? Like, how on earth does a person go online mocking a murder victim to becoming the poster child for protection orders? I know, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. I'm not sure what you mean, Taylor. I'm not sure what you mean by an I've given my opinion. I've given my opinion on Lana, and you know, this is not a personal beef. It's a beef about her behavior online. So it's really, I don't know Lana enough to give a personal opinion of her. I really don't. I don't know enough about her as a, you know, personally. I've never met her in person, so I can't have a personal opinion about her, but I can and I do have a very strong opinion about how she behaves online and how she treats people, and her master DARVO status. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I misunderstood. I misunderstood. So, you know what? That one can talk to the hand. She can talk to the hand. That's all. I have nothing to say about or to that person. Seriously. I will tell you this, that whenever Lana or her friends start talking about things that they've been talking about over and over and over and over and over again, this is what it sounds like to me, okay? This is what it sounds like to me.
Oh, good grief. Yes, ma'am? Oh, good grief. Yes, ma'am?
Seriously, that's what I hear. I mean, you know. Seriously. And now, Andy, were you talking about this? This is my music tattoo. Me and some singing friends of mine got that with each other a few years ago. I love it. I'm going to get another tattoo at some point. Anyway. Sorry if that's not very fulfilling to you, but that's what I'm thinking. All right, I need to do that. I mean, seriously.
Oh, good grief. Yes, ma'am?
Yeah. So, I hope this was helpful and enlightening to you. I really don't have that much else to say. I am going to be on Alex Erickson's channel tomorrow. Her second channel, thank you, Dogs Over Humans. Her second channel, Real Talk with Alex. She's doing kind of like a view, the view on YouTube. It should be fun, diverse perspectives. And we're going to tackle, controversial topics, things that you wouldn't normally, talk about, in polite company. I'm just kidding. No, like, we are going to talk about religion and politics. I mean, that's just the way, and those are the things you're not supposed to talk about, right? Well, we're going to talk about them. But, I think that we can show people that it's possible to talk about these things without being freaking maniacs. Yeah, exactly, Mark. That's exactly what I was when she invited me. I'm like, yeah, I mean, we can show people that there's a, like, if we end up disagreeing on some opinion or topic, we don't have to, like, DARVO each other. You know what I mean? I don't have to sue them if they say, I don't like your opinion about, guns or whatever. Whatever. Anyway. Wait. Don't the courts frown on people who ultimately who multi-sue, like people who are sued? Yeah, they do, but I mean, I don't know how high their priority is to, like, track it and take action on it. It's really, yeah. I'm looking forward to it too, Rez. Well, thank you all for being here. Again, thanks. Hit the thumbs up. Be kind to people online. You have really no idea what they're going through in their real lives. And and have a wonderful weekend. And I'm gonna, yeah, poor Magistrate Griffin. In a way, I feel bad for her. So here we go. I'll see you later.
My mind is blown. No surprise, guess I should have